Forget the polished weapons of museums for a moment. Forget the tanks, the rifles, and the factory-made firepower. Because during World War II, survival often came down to nothing more than raw ingenuity. And honestly, just a bit of junk. Across Europe and the Pacific, ordinary soldiers and resistance fighters took scraps of metal, bottles, and broken tools, and turned them into weapons that actually worked. When ammo ran dry and hope ran thin, victory didn't belong to the strongest, it belonged to the cleverest. These were the battlefield inventors, people who could turn a kitchen, a bicycle, or a shovel into something deadly. Let's start with the most iconic of all, the Molotov cocktail. Just a glass bottle, a splash of fuel, a rag, and a spark, yet it could stop a tank in its tracks. Soviet troops hurled them at advancing armor. Resistance fighters tossed them from rooftops. When the study Bimustadidain sign die waritan when a saditain sign. Sapaparin siren for Burkinsimber buried. When a siding nine, when a stiding flames clung to metal and men alike. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a message. We may not have much, but we'll fight anyway. Next came the entrenching tool, the humble folding shovel. It dug trenches, sure, but sharpened the edge, and it became a brutal hand-to-hand weapon. German and Soviet troops trained to swing, parry, and strike with it like a hatchet. It could dig by day and defend by night. Soldiers swore by it, calling it the blade that never jammed. It's a perfect example of wartime wisdom. The best tools serve more than one purpose. Then came the radio bomb. Before smart tech, before remote detonators, came the age of field radios and batteries. Resistance groups in occupied Europe discovered how to turn those into timed explosives. With spare wire, copper coils, and scavenged parts, they created crude remote detonators. A simple radio became a hidden weapon. It was the dawn of electronic warfare. Improvised, invisible, and honestly, terrifyingly effective. Even helmets, yes, helmets, weren't safe from repurposing. Soldiers filled them with stones or sand to swing as bludgeons in trench fights. Others used them as decoys, raising them above cover to draw sniper fire. Some strung helmets together as early warning alarms. A kind of primitive motion sensor. A helmet wasn't just protection. It was opportunity in metal form. Running low on bullets. Grab a sock. Fill it with stones, bolts, or spent casings. Swing hard. Soldiers called them silencers, not for sound, but for the way they ended fights quickly. British commandos used them in silent raids. Crude? Absolutely. Effective? Devastating. Proof that when technology failed, muscle and imagination really took over. Even bicycles found their place in guerrilla warfare. They carried food, messages, and death. Partisans bent spokes into stabbing tools, twisted chains into whips, and scattered sharpened nails across roads to shred enemy tires. Some even rigged pedals with grenades, leaving traps for pursuing patrols. A simple bike became both transport and trap, a symbol of movement and defiance. Then there were the homemade grenades, with ration tins, nails, and black powder. Fighters built explosives that could clear a bunker or cripple a patrol. Some used fuse cords from cigarettes. Others made tripwire mines disguised as cans of food. They weren't safe, not even for the user, but they gave the powerless a way to strike back. Stealth fighters went even further. Hidden blades disguised as combs, pens, or walking sticks slipped past checkpoints undetected. Resistance couriers could stroll past guards unarmed while carrying death in their pockets. These weren't weapons of aggression. They were weapons of survival. Small acts of rebellion hidden in plain sight. Even clothing became a weapon. Boots with hobnails could, crush a skull in close combat. Belts with heavy buckles doubled as whips. Straps and belts turned into garrots. In the dark alleys and forests of occupied Europe, your uniform wasn't just what you wore. It was your armor, your weapon, and, well, sometimes your last resort. All these inventions, from firebombs to helmets, radios to bicycles, reveal one powerful truth: resourcefulness beats resources. The men and women who built these weapons weren't engineers or scientists. They were survivors. They looked at the ordinary and saw possibility. That's what made them dangerous, not their firepower, but their imagination. They turned weakness into strength, scarcity into strategy, and that's why their stories still matter. Because in the end, the greatest weapon of World War II wasn't forged in a factory. It was born in the mind of someone who refused to surrender. So, the next time you think of war as a clash of machines, remember the forgotten inventors on the front lines, the soldier with a shovel, the courier with a comb, the partisan with a bottle of fuel. Their creativity changed the battlefield forever. If you love stories like these, tales of ingenuity, defiance and survival under fire, hit that subscribe button and join us on the untold battles, because sometimes, the smallest idea can leave the biggest mark in history.